Last time we searched for our ancestor James Lowry in the 1901 census. If you haven't already watched that tutorial, go back now and have a look. This time we'll continue our search for information about James from Tuam, County Galway. Like last time, we want to go to the National Archives Census homepage, census.nationalarchives.ie. And from there, we'll again go to Search Census. And like last time, we'll conduct a simple search. This time, the default is for 1911. So again, we're going to add Lowry. We will add James's first name here, and again, County Galway. Click Search. Last time we had 4 returns, this time only 3. Again, we click Show All Information. Looking closely, however, we can see that none of these people are from Ballygaddy, and none are from the DED of Tuam. So where is our James Lowry? Why does he appear in the 1901 census, but not in 1911? Well, there might be a couple of reasons. Perhaps James has emigrated. That might be the case. Maybe he went away with his entire family. The answer to that question depends on what it is you know about the family itself. I know, for example, that that's not the case. James has to be here somewhere. Perhaps James died, but we know that that's not true either, because as his direct descendant, you're living today because he survived. So again, James must be hidden within the census somewhere in 1911. The most logical explanation is the spelling of James's surname. Remember in 1901 we discussed some of the variations that can occur in the spelling of surnames, and sometimes that means that someone appears as missing in a later census. So instead of the spelling of Lowry, let's spell Lowry as Lowry. We still have James's first name and county, and click Search. Show All Information. And by scrolling across the page, we can see here straight away that not only do we see James, but we see his middle name as well. James Stephen Lowry, living in the townland of Ballygaddy in 1911. And at that time, James was aged 12. This is our James. By clicking into the name, we can again get some information about the other people in the household. James's family seems to have grown a lot in the last 10 years. So here he is, aged 12, living with his father and mother, and his sisters, and we have new information about other siblings in the family. Nora, William, Patrick and John. And at the bottom here, his grandmother, Mary Glynn, is still living. She's aged 74 in 1911. Always make sure that when you're looking at the transcription of the 1911 census, which is what we're looking at right now, that you scroll to the very right-hand side of the page. Because here we're going to find out some information that's not included in the 1901 census. Specifically, the years married of those couples in the household. So we can see here that James's parents, Michael and Bridget, were by 1911 married for 15 years. That means that we can calculate an approximate year of marriage and see if we can find out further information from other records, like their civil or church marriage record. This might indicate on that record the names of their parents, therefore bringing our research back a further generation. James's parents had 7 children in all, and by 1911, 7 of those children were still alive. His grandmother, Mary Glynn, was married for 30 years, and again we can calculate her approximate year of marriage. In all, Mary had 3 children, but only one of those children had survived. If we scroll down, we can again click into the Form A, the household return form, and we can see the original digitised record. And again, all of the family are listed here. Like in 1901, we can see the constable, who was the census enumerator. And we can see as well that where previously Mary Glynn, as head of the household, signed the form, this signature is now replaced by Michael Lowry, as he is listed as the head of the household now. If we click back, we can return to the census homepage. This time, we don't have to check out the enumerator's abstract in Form N. We looked at that last time for 1901. But we could compare last time in 1901 to this census in 1911 and click Form B1 to see if any changes have taken place in the intervening 10 years. Again, we can see that there are 3 households listed here, all private dwellings. And again, we can examine the situation of these households, and in particular, the household belonging to James, by looking at the condition of the house under the heading of walls, roof, rooms, and front windows. The Form A transcription again notes that James and his family are living in house number 2. Sometimes this number changes between one census and the other, so that's why it's important to take note and to look at the transcription first, because that's the clearest indication of what the house number might be. Like 1901, we can check here under the particulars of the inhabited house, and again build a picture of what that house might have looked like. Sometimes the information is the same, sometimes it's different. So we can see here that James's house is still built from walls of stone and a roof of thatch. However, the number of rooms seems to have increased. Previously, the number 2 was added here to indicate that there were between 2 and 4 rooms. Now, however, the number 4 is added, and that means that there are between 7, 8 and 9 rooms. This might indicate, for example, that perhaps where once they were living in a 1-story cottage, the family have added an additional story and it has now become a 2-story farmhouse. Again, there are 3 front windows to the front of the house. And when we compare that to the house of William Daly, we can see that his house is still larger and is still given the designation of first class, whereas the other 2 houses, including James's, is given the designation of second class. Michael Lowry is now the head of the household, and he is also the person on whose plot the house is sitting. He is the landholder. We've learned all we can here, so let's click back again and look at the final form, the Form B2. This wasn't included in the earlier 1901 census, and it gives a really good overview as the type of occupation and lifestyle, I suppose, that people might be leading, depending on what jobs it is that they're doing. Again, we're looking at house number 2. And we can see here that the family, James's family, hold or manage 4 outbuildings or out offices as they were known. These included a stable, a cowhouse, a piggery, a barn. And because the family are listed as farmers, these outbuildings would have been central to the farming life of the Lowry family. For now, we've learned all we can about James, and we're going to use the information we've gathered and see if we can search other records and build on the genealogical story of John, James, Michael, Bridget and Mary Glynn and all of the other members of the Lowry household. You can learn more about County Galway's local heritage by going to the website galwaycommunityheritage.org, where you can search the County Galway archive and browse through collections of local history and heritage material, including photos, documents, articles and personal stories.